Standard & Poor's has just given USDT the worst possible rating. I'm going to explain everything about the risk highlighted by Standard & Poor's, and we'll compare that with the USDC report. We're also going to look at Tether's reserve to really understand what the issue is. I'll talk about all of that, but I'm also going to talk about a hack. An exchange was just hacked and tens of millions of dollars were stolen. We're going to talk about ZCash ETF. We're also going to talk about Hyperliquid and a bunch of other things, including news about Avalanche and a lot of other crypto. So first of all, Bitcoin price almost $90,000, Ethereum $3,000. So yeah, almost everything is up today. And we'll talk about Avalanche in a few minutes. Now, let's talk about Standard & Poor's, the rating agency we all know, the S&P 500, that's them, that's their index, and they've just downgraded Tether. You should know that Standard & Poor's launched the stablecoin rating systems a few months ago, and they've just lowered USDT's rating. USDT is the number one stablecoin on the market, getting close to $200 billion of USDT in circulation. It's a stablecoin that has proven itself. It's a stablecoin that has survived a lot of crypto crises. It has really shown resilience. Even during the US banking crisis, when USDC depegged, USDT had zero problems. So honestly, USDT has a very solid track record. But Standard & Poor's just downgraded USDT. Look, I just show you here the rating. Their rating has just dropped to 5, and the scale goes from 1 to 5, with 5 being the worst possible rating. So they basically gave USDT the worst rating they have. Personally, I think it's a bit excessive to consider the worst possible stablecoin, to consider USDT as the worst possible stablecoin, because there are a lot worse stablecoins than USDT in the market. To compare, USDC has a score of 2, so it's basically close to the best possible score from 1 to 5. The USDC is rated pretty positively, but USDT rating is really not good at all. So what does Standard & Poor's say about USDT? They revealed something that honestly surprised me a little bit when I saw it, because I didn't have the numbers in mind anymore. They revealed that USDT's reserves are actually problematic. Here's how USDT works. Entity comes in, gives dollars to Tether, Tether gives them USDT in exchange, and then Tether takes the dollars and invests them in treasury bills and other assets that generate 4 to 5% per year. That's how Tether ends up with around $180 billion in assets generating 5% annually. And they keep all the yield for themselves. So yeah, it's a lot of money. That's almost $10 billion a year, sometimes even more when taking into account other assets. So yeah, they generate a lot of money. When I went to check Tether's reserve report, the document they show to investor, the attestation they show to investor who want to see what's the real backing of USDT, well, you can see that there are about $140 billion in assets that are basically solid. Let's say on the same level of safety as US Treasury bills. Money market funds, cash in banks, no issue there. That covers around, like I said, 140 billion out of 180 billion or $174 billion of USDT in circulation at the time the report was made. But what S&P pointed out, and honestly, yeah, I think it's a problem, it's that the $40 billion placed in assets that are not dollar indexed, these are problematic. And when you look at it, you basically find 3 categories. You have precious metals, meaning gold, for example. They love gold, Tether. They have a lot of gold, so that's $13 billion worth of gold. And you might say, well, that actually works pretty well for them because gold has risen recently. So yeah, $30 billion in gold, and they almost have $10 billion in BTC. Priced at $114,000, so that was at the valuation date when the report came in. So yeah, they have a lot of BTC, and let's say $10 billion in BTC and $12 billion in precious metals. And on top of that, they also have loans. These loans are basically deals where companies or institutional players give them crypto, and in exchange, Tether issue USDT, but in smaller amounts. These are over-collateralized loans, liquidated if something goes wrong. That's exactly what Tether did with Celsius back in the day, and there was an entire lawsuit about that. But the point S&P raised is the following. If BTC were to drop sharply, Tether would not have enough money to redeem USDT for dollars. And yes, that's factually true, because Tether has around $6 to $6.7 billion in excess reserve, meaning they hold $180 billion in asset, and there are 174 billion USDT outstanding. So that leaves them, with almost $7 billion excess. But the BTC alone is $9 billion. So you can clearly see the problem. Imagine a catastrophic scenario where BTC goes to zero. Well, then there simply wouldn't be enough money left to give to users holding USDT if they want to redeem for dollars. You'll tell me it is unlikely, and I agree. I absolutely don't believe in this scenario. BTC will not go to zero, but it's still not normal that a stablecoin that's supposed to be backed by dollars is in reality not backed by dollars totally. It's backed by all sorts of other investments. Treasury is okay, fine, that's US government, no issue there, but then gold, Bitcoin, corporate loans, that can be a problem. Imagine Tether doesn't unwind those positions properly during a major crash. You could have a big gap showing there too. So there are many reasons why things could go wrong for Tether in a sudden violent market crash. I'm really talking about really a catastrophic black swan event, not minor fluctuations. And even without the crisis, I wouldn't feel comfortable holding a huge amount of USDT knowing that in reality, it's backed by gold, BTC, and other assets. When I move into stablecoins, and I think this is the case for most people, it's to be exposed only to the dollar, not to a bunch of other assets. Otherwise, you can use other products. There are plenty in the decentralized finance. There's Liquidity or other projects that have stablecoins not backed directly with the same system. And you should remember, in the past, Tether was significantly exposed to Chinese company, the corporate debt from Chinese firms. And there was a lot of uncertainty. Some of you may remember the whole Evergrande situation that caused huge concern. Luckily, Tether managed to get out of that and moved into the US Treasury bonds. But now we're starting to see them shift back into assets that are a bit riskier. And for me, that's a point where you really need to pay attention. And that's exactly why Circle is less risky with their USDC. Because if you look at USDC's reserve, it's actually pretty simple. What they hold is basically just cash, treasury bill, and equivalent instruments. The repo reserve repo agreement are pretty much the same thing. It's really all the stuff at the very top of the safety scale, meaning the least risky parts. They've got treasury, they've got those reverse repo agreements, and they've got cash. So that's the least risky portion of what Tether has. That's why some people trust USDC more, or Standard & Poor's trust USDC more. But then again, now we've seen in the past, the company, the stablecoin that had a lot of issues when the US banking system almost collapsed was Circle, was the USDC that depegged to 0.8 or 0.89. So in the end, there's clearly risk on both sides. I'm not going to tell you there's no risk with Circle or no risk with USDT. USDC has proven itself over time. I'm not saying don't hold USDT, but if you do hold USDT, be aware of what's behind it, what's backing it. Don't tell yourself it's only dollars. There are other things in there besides dollars. If you prefer USDC, you can go with USDC, but keep in mind that a lot of that cash is sitting in banks. And what happens if banks run into trouble, if banks go under and so on? Yeah, it can be an issue. So diversification is key. If I had to give just one piece of advice, would be to diversify your stablecoins if you really want to stay in stablecoins. Like I said, there are decentralized options like Liquidity, LUSD, or Bold, or even stablecoins from MakerDAO and others, Sky now. So yeah, I believe that's it for the stablecoin part of this video. But there are other news. The South Korean exchange Upbit got hacked. They lost $36 million worth of token on the Solana blockchain. It was a hot wallet that got compromised. As a reminder, exchanges have hot wallets and cold wallets. Hot wallets are connected to the internet, and every exchange needs a hot wallet to process transactions on the website and so on. Cold wallets are supposed to be completely offline. The hot wallet only holds a small portion of funds, 1, 2, 3, 5%, depending on the exchange. The cold wallet is supposed to be much more secure and contain most of the money. This time, Upbit had one of its Solana hot wallet hacked. $36 million was stolen. The stolen tokens included the Solana token, Bonk, Sonic, USDC, Pengu, and other tokens. They managed to freeze some of it on-chain, notably the layer token, around $8 million worth. And Thankfully, Upbit's parent company said that they would cover the loss and that user would not lose anything. So the $36 million won't directly impact customers because luckily it was only the hot wallet that was affected, and hot wallet are more exposed. It's normal. Generally, when exchanges have been operating for a long time and a huge exchange like Upbit, well, they will reimburse users because it's not much for them. If it had been $300 million or $1 billion, then I would say no, Upbit can't cover that. But $36 million, yeah, I believe they can. And remember Bybit. Bybit had about $1.4 billion hole after the hack where a lot of it was stolen. And in the end, they managed to cover the loss because Bybit is a massive exchange too. $1 billion is huge for Bybit, but it's something they can cover. I imagine they made a lot more than $1 billion in profits just over the last 2 years. So in any case, they had the ability to cover that hole. So yeah, that's it for the Upbit hack. Next, let's talk about Grayscale. Grayscale is the company that launches a lot of ETFs. They're also a pioneer when it comes to crypto investment funds. Well, they are launching a new ETF, a new ZCash ETF. They just failed to convert their old fund to an ETF, and that's really good news for ZCash. Barry Silbert from Grayscale, he's really a fan of ZCash. He's also a fan of BitTensor. So yeah, I believe we will have a BitTensor ETF also soon. Then let's talk about Avalanche. Securitize, it's the company that helps BlackRock bring assets on chain. Well, Securitize, they are the one who issued Beetle, the BlackRock's fund, which already has secured several $1 billion deployed across multiple blockchains. Well, Securitize just obtained a license in Europe to operate a trading platform built on the Avalanche blockchain. They chose Avalanche and they said it was because of the customizability and speed. So yeah, it's great news for Avalanche, but we don't have the details behind this. Every time there's something like this, some announcement like this, Web2 company choosing blockchain or other stuff like this, we never know if they picked it because of real technical benchmarking, or because there was some kind of deal behind the scenes. Maybe Avalanche Foundation paid or gave multi-million-dollar grants to Securitize to choose Avalanche. We don't know. We don't have that information yet. Maybe we'll have someday. From what I've seen in the crypto ecosystem, every time a blockchain gets chosen, there's almost always a deal. Western Union, for example, was probably paid several $1 million to choose Solana. Still, it's still a positive signal for Avalanche. Then we have the Plasma token, which has been crashing pretty hard for a while now. Let's remind you, Plasma is the blockchain that closely linked to Tether, the issuer of USDT. Tether invested in Plasma and they launched this high-performance blockchain for payments with zero fees for USDT transaction. The idea was to create a chain massively adopted for payments, and at the beginning, the launch went extremely well. Plasma went from 25 cents to $1.5, but now look, for months the price has been dropping non-stop. It's around 20 cents now. The market cap dropped from several $1 billion, around $3 billion, to less than $500 million. So massive drop in market cap, a massive drop in TVL also from $6 billion to $2.6 billion. There's a real exodus of stablecoin deposits leaving Plasma for other blockchains. And I told you my opinion about Plasma from the very beginning. It bothers me. It bothers me because the whole vision is a blockchain deeply tied to a single company. Plasma is tightly linked to Tether, tightly linked to USDT. You simply cannot build a decentralized blockchain on top of an underlying asset that is itself extremely centralized. To me, it makes no sense. And even outside of centralized assets, I'll give you another example of blockchain I don't believe in long term, even if they launch a token. Stripe's Tempo. It's their new blockchain. The payment giant is building it, but I don't believe in it. I don't think institutions like BlackRock will pour billions and billions into a blockchain that could be influenced or controlled by a single company. I think institutions and the broader public will eventually understand that there is a real need for decentralization, a neutral playing field where no single entity is privileged. And that's why I believe more in DeFi, in Ethereum. Or not, if not Ethereum, then Solana or even Aptos or Sui, or the blockchain that at least aim for decentralization. They're not all at the same level of decentralization, of course, but I still believe in that model more than a blockchain associated with a single company. That's what I wanted to share today about the latest crypto news. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next one. Bye-bye.